Good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you are. I hope you're having a wonderful time. You can call me Dragon, and today we'll be continuing work on MonsterStone, where last we left off, we were working on the video configuration menu. And sorry I'm a little bit late today, but I apparently had like a pretty rough morning, which involved, or rather night as well, which involved me not sleeping all that well, waking up in the middle of the night a couple times. And then also having a rude awakening this morning when the postman came by to deliver a package. And that was at 8 a.m. and I usually get up at 10. So, safe to say I got a little bit freaked out. Had to like rush get on some clothes and be like, thanks for the package, and then, yeah, thanks you too. And then, and then straight off to bed basically. Because I was not getting up at that point. No fucking way. And then around the same time, not too long after, they started doing, I think I didn't go to check because I was just like, fuck, let me sleep. But they were doing some stuff outside which involved some kind of machinery that made a hell of a lot of noise. So I basically also had trouble like just getting that last amount of sleep that I really needed, because I was apparently also very tired yesterday. But here we are, and well, game doesn't make itself, so let's get back into where we were. And where we were was that we've implemented anti-aliasing, we've implemented anisotropic filtering as a toggle that you can turn on and off. We've implemented the UI for anti-aliasing, so it displays not only the right numbers, but it also carries them on correctly. Oh, hold on. I just realized something. Okay, there's something we have to do with this UI. Okay, that shouldn't be a problem, because it's just swapping it out for a different prefab. But I did kind of just realize that you should not be able to enter your own values on that. And there's a couple reasons. That's like good reason why. Because it has to be able to go between 0, 2, 4, and 8, sorry. Which is, or yeah, 0, 1, 2, and 3, which then gets interpolated, or rather it's, no, it's actually, yeah, it's 1, 2, 4, and 8. Yes. No. Wow, good morning. 1, 2, 3, and 4 maybe, or 0, 1, 2, and 3. And the reason why is because then it gets interpolated using the power of 2, and then that gets converted into 0, 2, 4, and 8. Where 0 is a bit of it needed like a bit of extra work as well, but it does work. So the reason why is because anti-aliasing has to be into the power of 2 starting at 0, with it basically being turned off, I guess. And that means that you shouldn't be able to put in like, say, 6 or 7 or 3 or 1 or something like that. Which, as far as I know right now, yeah, you can do that, and that even messes it up pretty badly. So all we have to do is replace that with one of the other prefabs I have, which does not have an input field. And I think when I made that yesterday, I actually did briefly think about making it like one without an input field, but it shouldn't be like the biggest deal to implement. Go to options menu, options BG, and so forth. Video settings, settings container, and there we go. If we go into your templates, find the settings in there. Should have one which is a slider setting that doesn't say input. So if we move that up to anti-aliasing, call it anti-aliasing, then we just have to set it up correctly. And since it's basically the same thing, the only difference being that the field itself is not an input field, should be pretty straightforward because it's the same code and everything. There. So we should just be able to copy and paste the variables from the slider here. I could probably even just say just copy component. Don't see why not, and then paste the values in. Oh, okay, that's maybe a bad idea. Because I don't, yeah, then it also pastes in the prefab game object references that I don't want it to. Variable power step is 2. We need to enable that, of course. And then we also want to override min value, which is being overridden to say 0. That's how that works. And then I believe we also have to touch upon the slider itself. Yeah, it has to be whole numbers. And it has to go from, what was it? 0 to 3. And I think that should about do it. Let's see. Because the input field just, and the non-input field version, they're just both like text fields that are being accessed, so doesn't matter if it's an input field or just like for display, they should stay just fine. Yeah, that works. Can't select that, but it will visualize the number just right. So let's see if it saves correctly. I mean, it should, because it works the exact same way, right? It's just shown on a different, like, on a non-input field. So in fact, I guess the input field is actually an extension of the whole thing, right? At which point, if I wanted that to be like an input field for the anti-aliasing, I would also have to... Okay, it doesn't save properly. Damn it. I wonder why that is. Could be like a... Could I delete the option settings situation? Let's just see first if that fixes it. Otherwise, we'll have to take a look. Because as far as I remember, yesterday it was working just fine on the input field version. Oh, right. It's probably because I didn't return to the main menu. Because that is what saves the variables down. Well, let's see. Yes. Goody good. Alright. That should mean that we can move on to the next thing on the agenda. So let's see what we got. Because we had to implement, what was it, some shadow settings, I believe. We have those in video settings right now, but should technically be in graphics settings. Let's see, these. We got some texture limits, some shadows, some pixel light counts. Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. Super unit. Make a new one of those. And then we need a control input, which we just need to call enter. And we give it the label enter. And we call this graphic I mean, I could call this general graphics, but I don't know. I mean, depth of field is technically also like a somewhat graphics setting, I suppose. Add that to the sequence. Just paste those in here just so I have them. And let's see, what do we have? Okay, so we have some of these which are seemingly very simple variables, like these. Those are both just integers that need to be set, so those are, and this is a float, so those are fairly easy to save down, because then you just have to convert from float to int. These, however, they have like a selection list of things. So I don't know why you just scale out to like be half the screen. Thanks, Bolt. Please go back. Let's see, shadow resolution. There should be a list of this. Oh, did I spell it right? Okay, so it's because it's a list shadow resolution. Starting to get the hang of how this works. So then we can also do a shadows, list of shadows. But I wonder... Ooh. Is it quality settings, shadows? That one might be a bit more tricky. Oh, so the value is a shadow quality. Okay, so what if we do list shadow quality? There we go. That should be it. And there's disable, hard only, and then all. So we might as well just make these lists for now. Low, medium, high, and very high. If I remember correctly, the texture limit also has like a fixed sort of progression that you go to. And pixel light counts, that one is a bit more like open-ended because, well, it is literally how many real-time lights you can have being rendered at the same time. AKA, if you set that to like, say, free, and you have a scene where in render range you have 6 braziers that are all pixel lights, then only the 3 closest ones are gonna actually show light, is the idea. Which obviously is not the prettiest thing in the world. And it's just a limit on how many you're allowed to process at the same time. So if that is technically infinite, then your game performance is going to depend on the level design and how many light sources was put in there to begin with. And also, of course, how those light sources, like, they actually have to be pixel lights, which they might not be. But it doesn't actually change the quality of the light sources. It just tells you how many of them you're allowed to render. Which also means that if you set it to low and you have a scene with which depends on a lot of pixel lights, it's just going to be devoid of light altogether, basically. It's going to be very dark all of a sudden. Which is not necessarily like the best solution, but it's definitely one way where you could, like, would you really want to be able to disable lights in the game? I don't really think so, because if you do that, then there's just, you won't be able to see anything. So we'll see if that setting becomes relevant whatsoever. At any rate, we need some of the logic that we've already made here anyway. So might as well steal and grab whatever we can. And then just replace the bits that we need. And of course we need some of this. Nope, wrong one. And then we also need one of these. Funnel that in there. And let's start with shadows, just because I want to try out and see what we can do with these. Let's just do the thing from the top. Let's plug that list that we made into those components. And then shadows that we want to set would be this one. Just replace the full screen mode. And then we need to do a shadows get. Quality settings. Shadow get. That's basically just the default setting when the game is launched the first time, right? You set the you get that Unity startup thing where it asks or allows you to configure resolution a couple other settings. And one of the settings is the quality defaults. I don't know if those are even going to be needed, other than like for initialization. And I'll have to look at how to disable that when you start up, because since, you know, all the settings are going to be configurable from in-game, sure, you could do like a pre-configuration before you start up the game, but there's not really any need to do that at this point. So I guess we'll just call this shadows, because that is exactly what it is. Oh, let me actually steal one of those that uses the list. Let's see. Here. Save me a little bit of work. Get that shadow set, move it down here. Oop. And then we just need to change that down there, and we should have at least this framework for saving all the variables for, or the variable for the index for the shadow settings. Quick and painless. Now we just need to do that for shadow distance or shadow resolution, and then we also need to add shadow distance. Let's add the shadow resolution first because it's very similar. It's also one of those lists, it's just a different one. Grab this list, plug it in. Because that's the only unfortunate thing about Ball. You don't, you can't, you can kind of make functions using super units, but when it comes to like reusable code, Bolt isn't the best. There are ways that you can like make super units that have arguments as their inputs as well, and then you just plug it in there. But effectively, the best way you can do it is through the custom events. So you basically trigger like those function calls with custom events, and then you funnel the inputs into like a super unit that does like a specific thing, and then that's kind of how you can do functions here. But when it comes down to it, it's like, is it worth the effort? Not sure. I mean, I am working alone on this project, so I can kind of like just do whatever I want, right? I would be curious though how difficult it would be to actually work on a larger project like this with others. Using Bolt, that is. Shadow resolution. We just need to make one more variable here, which is just like a temporary one. That should be everything for shadow resolution. Let's just go and steal one for... This is a float. Yes, and it actually has the stuff that I need, so... Sucks a little bit that I couldn't figure out like a good way to do typecasting or whatever it was called. But if this works, then it's good enough. I mean, it is only a configuration menu, so it's not like code that has to be super well performing in the grand scope of things. So to do the conversion through like a by converting it to a string and then converting that string to a float, like an int to a string, then string to float. It's silly, but it does do exactly what I need it to do. That's this one. Oh, this is actually already a float, so this one doesn't need it. It is kind of weird though how the framework I use to save and load data does not have like seemingly any good way to inherently convert integers to floats when you use them. You kind of have to do that on your own, or rather when you save them, because if I save this, it gets like if I plug an integer in here, that's what causes the problem, because it realized it sort of knows, okay, this is an integer that I'm getting as an input. Okay, I'm saving it as an integer, and then you load it where you have to tell it what type it needs to load. And if this is a float, but it actually loads a save file that stores an integer, then it produces like the wrong number because of possibly some kind of I don't know if it's compression or if it's I think it's what's it called again? Shoot. There's a word for it and I completely can't find it. Encrypted, like encryption on it. That might be what's causing that problem. Shadow distance. Need you down there. Quality setting, shadow distance gets. Plug that in. That's 3 out of 5. Then there's these two, which are both integers, so that's why we need that weird black magic stuff. So since I deleted that on the other one because I didn't need it for that use case, I'm just going to copy this again. Let me just make sure there's no... Yeah, there's no fancy trickery when it comes to the rest of the code. I just have to make sure not to grab the integer here and just like pass on the variable that gets sent through the UI elements. And it should work just fine. Let's see, master texture limit and pixel light count. Master texture, texture limit and pixel light count. Look at those in the right places. Quality, master texture, hit. Wow, I didn't even spell it correctly. And I still managed to find it. We should just be able to plug that in instead of that -1. Converted to string from an int. Parse that string back into a float and then save that float. It's silly, but it works. Pixel light, get. Okay, that should be the framework for those settings. That was pretty painless. Give me a little bit of space, please. Thank you. And that does not belong into the video settings, so let's hide that hierarchy for now. Go back into graphics. I haven't been here in a while. But let's see here. Settings container. And we're gonna need possibly 2 of these. Of course, the order needs to be moved around. There we go. General graphics title, I think. Then we can do like shadows title. General graphics The idea is that the main title is like the general graphics, then you have shadows, and then we can have one for lighting, and then one for textures. Okay, so let's see. Let's start from the back because I kind of want to do that master texture limit. Texture size limit applied to most textures. Setting this to 1 uses the first map of each texture, so all textures are half size. Okay, setting this to 2 uses the second map of each texture, so all textures are quarter size. Can be used to decrease video memory requirements on low-end computers. Default value is 0, so no downscaling basically. The width and height of the texture object report the original unlimited sizes. You may have to take this into account if you perform special sampling or processing with textures subject to the master limit quality setting and you use master texture limit bigger than 1. It's a bit of a funky setting. Hey Toto, good to see you. Surprised you were awake. Did you play Osiris all night? Because I saw you were playing yesterday, but it was getting a little bit late for me, so actually I think by the time you started playing, I was actually supposed to have gone to bed at that point. I ended up like staying up a little bit too late, sadly. Well, not sadly, but because I was in company with some cool people. Ended up talking for too long. But hey, it is what it is. Hope you're having a good day at least. So, not sure how to do this. I have an idea on what we could do. Because it's directly reflecting the texture resolution sizes. So one thing we could do, because it's like it lowers the scaling down to, what was it say? So if you set it to 1, so default is 0, which means full resolution scale and everything. If you set it to 1, it halves the size. Halves the size. So it must be the halving of the size of the original one. So Toto brain goes ooga booga on Empyrean. Nice. How are you liking it so far? You figuring stuff out? because it's a little bit different to games in this that are similar in the same genre. But I don't know if you've played any of them, so you might be not be tainted in terms of expectation there. But yeah, so basically, if a texture is, let's say, 1024 by 1024, and you set it to 1, then it gets scaled down to 5 to half, which I assume would be 512 by 512. And then if it's 2, then it's 256 by 256, because 512 is 4 times the size of 256. And then 1024 is 4 times the size of 512. Yeah. Oh, also fell asleep on a Cypress menu. See, I was wondering that because I was like, I don't think you would have been playing for that long, without me at least. So I was like, did you fall asleep? I hope you didn't fall asleep in front of your computer, and at least got your ass back to bed. I've tried sleeping on a keyboard. That was not it's not the most pleasant experience. So the value for the slider just has to go from 0, 1 to 3, maybe. So 0 to 3. But then how do I... Always been sleeping in front of computer? Really? That doesn't sound good for you. Maybe that might be why you're having you might not be sleeping too well, Toto. Have you thought about that? Have a big hug pillow. Not anymore though. Oh, you have been. I've also got a pretty nice pillow myself. I've got like this memory foam one. I always used to sleep with 2 pillows in the past because, I don't know, either they were just that bad, or I don't know, felt like they weren't supporting me in my neck enough. But now I've got like a memory foam pillow, and that's just like on point. It's a bit worn at this point, but it's pretty good still. Yeah, let's go and try and just see what happens if we actually implement this setting. If we take a slider. There. Probably gonna buy a new pillow and nice chair once you've moved. Screw beds. I would not want to sleep in this chair. To be honest. Oh, you know what? Oh, that's it. Oh, I wonder if I could find that again. That just brings to mind like hold on. Let me just see if I can find it. Because it's like a thing that's been popping around all over the internet once in a while. Yeah, I fucking found it immediately. Oh my god. Take a look at this. I don't know how comfortable that would be. I also have a weird suspicion, like in my case, I'm way too long for this, or too tall for this to be comfortable. Also, I would not want to sit like that, playing on a computer. I have, like, but this is apparently like a real thing. Oh my god. The snacks. Jesus. I don't even. That could work out, but the mattress would have to be like at least 3 times as thick. I can't imagine that mattress being good for long. It looks like it might just be foam even. I don't know. Also, like having the monitors angled in like that, Jesus. No, just no. I do prefer a good bed though. What do we call this? Master texture limit. See, this is the weird thing. The lower the value, the higher the quality. Is that counterintuitive? I don't know. Like sleeping under the bed, can't sleep on top. Okay, well. I actually have a lot of room underneath my bed. You'd have to crawl to get inside, but if you ever come to visit, you're more than free to sleep in there if you really want to. It's not like a high-rise bed, but it's pretty tall. And that's so that you could use the underneath part as like storage. Sleeping under the bed. Almost sounds like you're a gremlin or something, Toto. Bed goblin. Maybe Toto is. What do I fucking call this variable? Master texture limit. So what it does is that it sets a size limitation on all the resolutions for all the textures. Wants to sleep on top. Wait, you're calling me a monster now? Watch yourself. This is technically what it does. It downscales the texture resolution according to this. So if it's 0, there's no scaling, and if it's 1, then it's half the size. How do I make that super clear? Unless I just call it texture quality. And then we make it a drop down instead. So it's like low, medium, high. Maybe that might be a better idea. And then I just interpolate the... I would need to do some changes somewhere, but I just interpolate the index that you choose on that list as a as like a quality setting. And then I could use that to set... Yeah, that would actually work. Because the 0 index would be 0, then 1, 2. Yeah, that actually works. Screw slider setting, we're doing a drop down. Where we drop boys. And then we just call it texture quality. Also, Imperial Wind, Toto needs a sensei to play. Oh, Toto. Well, we will both have to be awake at the same time for once. And I don't know how different is your current location to your previous time zone wise. It's shifted, isn't it? It's a little bit offset from what it has been for the last like year or so. But as it stands, I won't be home for most of the weekend, but I'll be probably home Sunday, and also Monday I will absolutely be home. So just a few hours advanced. Okay. Right. That it does kind of go against in our favor, but yeah, maybe some of Sunday. And then Monday, because Saturday I'm going to a birthday party and it's down south, and I might have to leave tomorrow already because I'm driving with a sister of mine. So I will, you know, be away from my computer for at least 2 days as it currently stands. I don't know if I'll be able to play some tomorrow. I won't promise anything because it all depends on when I'm driving south to my sister. I could potentially take a train on the day that we're going to the birthday party, but I really hate traveling hassle. It's like having to be on time at a specific point and such. I'm really bad at that. So, and she also has kids, so like she has 2 boys, so I'm also being considerate of that, of course. So that just usually makes it easier for me to go there in 1 day in advance. But she'll probably be driving down and home on the same day. She won't be sleeping over, I don't think, because of the boys being along for the ride as well. And that also means that if I'm driving with her home, I won't be sleeping over down there either. It's like so far out in the countryside actually that like the train ride down would probably is only half the journey, and then the bus ride out on the countryside is like another 2 hours. So from here to where the birthday party is going to be is like basically 4 hours, 4.5 hours of public transit. And for context, usually that would be the same like amount of time, like a little bit more, that I would need to go from here to the capital city, Copenhagen. So chunk of cheese and pineapple in a toothpick? Oh. So it's one of my nieces. She's turning 18, so there's probably going to be a lot of booze, is my assumption. Possibly also a lot of good food. Danish people like to eat a lot. When we have like social gatherings and parties and stuff, like family gatherings, there's basically like food from when you come and then till you leave. We even have a concept that is get the fuck out of here food in rough translation. Which is like, okay, party's technically over, but here's like a last bit of food and then be off, if you will. It's just a cultural thing. It's kind of, I don't know if other cultures have a similar thing. But there you go. It's not super posh with like that kind of stuff. Oh, you have those too? I mean, of course you have cultural things, but you mean like a lot of food? Then the get the fuck out of here food, basically. What was this called again? Oh, not in here. Master texture limit. But yeah, you need to be able to eat a lot of food over here when you go to social gatherings. It's also like an opportunity to see a lot of food of people that I haven't seen in a while. If you don't get the GTFO food, means you are the least important guest. Okay. We don't have it like that over here. This is more like a, oh, okay. You've been sticking around for so long, so have some food on your way out, basically. Something like it's typically something like super easy, like hot dogs or something like that. Something that does not require like you can basically put together yourself. Some places I think it's also just like bread with topping and stuff. Oh, okay. No, this is like usually like an actual like, you know, it's another course basically. But just like, you know, around midnight to post midnight is usually when you serve that kind of stuff. I remember like, oh dude. I remember so I was at Peak's party when he became like he finished his education, and I remember like standing around at midnight with like a flashlight trying to grill some hot dogs, and we couldn't even see if they were halfway done or whatever. And oh my god, dude, people were so drunk, and I'm pretty sure that those sausages should not have been ingested, because one of our good friends was like basically responsible for the grill, and none of us could see anything because there was no lighting and it was outside and it was in the middle of the night, and oh my god. In the morning we found like completely charred sausages just lying around the grill, which might have been dropped because we couldn't see what we were doing. And they probably got a little bit more than just overdone, but some people were just so drunk they couldn't taste the difference, I suppose. So who knows how many overdone hot dogs that was consumed that day. Wait, which? Oh no, right. It's because we don't have one. Okay. So for the texture quality, we probably want to set a... How many? 4. So what do we call the top one? Ultra quality? High, medium, and low. Jesus, consumed carbon. Hey, I didn't. The others did though. But yeah, that was like a really interesting party too. We had like a couch on the like just an old couch that we just placed outside too for people to lounge in. Like we had like an entire like living room lounge area, but it was all outside on like a lawn in the backyard, all in the countryside. We also had a jumping castle, an inflatable jumping castle. Picture the Last Supper, but the food is just charred hot dogs. As far as I can't even remember. Yeah, we didn't. Like at the end. In the end, it was just sausages because we had a ton of sausages, and I don't think we had enough bread for all of them. But yeah, also just imagine like tipsy, like drunk people just lounging around in an inflatable jumping castle. That was also a thing. I've been to some really silly parties in the past. And I usually don't get so drunk that I forget about them, so I can keep reminding people and actually talk about them. And if I bring up the the sausage situation with one of my friends. He's like, "Oh, don't remind me." It's always a good laugh. So if we go into graphics, we need to make a few changes. The master texture limit. So this is actually an integer now. So that's actually perfect. That's actually kind of good. Because it means I don't have to do this stupid ass conversion. Because the index or the quality settings directly reflects the index on the thing, so do I actually have to do anything here? Yeah, because it just sends the value along, so I can just use it as is. That's kind of convenient, I guess. For a person who have blood made of wine and invented a drinking game for a video game, actually not surprised. What? Invented a drinking game for a video game? Why am I confused? What do you mean? What are you referring to? Oh, okay. I was thinking that. Toto, I have a secret to tell you. It's not the first one. We actually made like a... Oh my god. We actually made like a... I have to tell this story now. Fucking have to tell this story. We actually did another drinking game before Medieval. So Medieval was during university. The other one, that was during high school. And Peak was actually part of that too, amongst others of my friends. This was when I was still living at my mom's place. And so drinking culture in Denmark is, shall we say, very widespread. There's a lot of drinking that happens. And during high school, in our case, we had this situation where we were talking about, you know, drinking games were becoming like that was like a high topic popularity wise on the internet and also within our classroom and such. And then we were talking with each other like, oh, it could be so cool to like do a drinking game, but with a video game. Because drinking games are pretty common to do with like board games or dice games or something like that. At least over here. And I've actually also done a drinking game with Magic the Gathering cards at one point, which was really stupid. But we talked about video game drinking game rules, basically. And one of the concepts that we came across, because this was like a Reddit post, was a Skyrim drinking game. Yes, Skyrim drinking game. Which is a little bit weird because Skyrim is like, you know, it's a single player game. Oh my god, I actually found it. Skyrim is a single player game, and you know, why would you be doing a drinking game with yourself? Also play don't drinking game while playing War Thunder with Cap? Oh. One shot for every death. Okay, so that you're on the right track. For some reason I can't like get this showing on like a larger resolution. Why can I not open image in new tab, please? Okay, there we go. Let me show you. So this is the reference that we had. This is not just the reference. These are the drinking rules we actually went by for Skyrim. Because basically one of my good buddies stumbled upon this and he was like, hey, this could be fun. And I was like, yeah, that's like a really cool idea, but how would we execute it? And then we came up, okay, well, we've done LAN parties at my mom's place on multiple occasions before. So I was like, well, why don't we make it like a LAN party where we play Skyrim and then have the drinking rules? And then, you know, socialize around this so it doesn't become like a, oh, you're just being an alcoholic kind of situation. And we actually managed to get it set up. How many people were we again? So obviously there was me and there was Peak. There was, how many people were we? Let me just do a head count. I think we must have been like 6 or 7 people or so. All like with our computers in my mom's living room and a lot of booze. And we all played Skyrim. We agreed that we would start all at the same time. Like we would start at the, wait, we're not, oh, this is the wrong one. This is the desktop. There we go. Now you can see it, sorry. We all agreed that that we would start at the same time and that it would be like from the beginning of the game because of some of how some of the rules work. And also so that, you know, we couldn't just cheap out because we'd already made progress in one way or another. And to make it extra spicy, and I don't sadly have the recording, but it would have been cool. I wanted to actually originally record it with video just because like this has been like a once in a lifetime opportunity, right? So I wanted to like document the experience. But we had voice recording, like audio recording of the night. And like we all started out and everyone had like a different strategy. So my strategy was like, okay, play with the rules, but be modest and not an idiot and get yourself like killed due to like overexposure to alcohol or something. Like you don't want to be knocked out within the first, 30 minutes of a several hour long evening, right? So one of my friend's strategies was to do everything in shots. So instead of drinking like cans of beer or cider, he decided to only do shots for that entire evening. Guess how that worked out. And we played Skyrim, and some of us had never played it before, believe it or not. Peak, I think, had not played it before. And I very vividly remember everyone didn't get super far into the game. Like we decided that we would do the main storyline until at least unlocking dragons to spawn in, because, dragon fight and killing a dragon and using shouts are part of the drinking rules. So if you don't get it far into the main story, you don't have those. Oh boy. So we all made it to what's the name of the place? Bleak Falls Barrow, the place where you get the gold claw. And in there, you might know that there is a giant spider. And for some reason, when we got there, people had already begun to be so tipsy that logical thinking was not really present anymore. There was like Peak who decided to just one-on-one melee fight the spider and died twice in a row. So that's like an entire object that he had to drink just there. Also, let me see, I can't remember if it's part of this, like fast travel is part of this, but the thing about it is that it doesn't account for dying. Like, what happens when you die? well, okay, you drink, but what else happens? You go back in time. So what happened for Peak, for instance, was that he had like his last save was in the beginning of the dungeon, and by the time he got to the spider, he'd already leveled up his character and also leveled up a skill twice, or 2 skills. And that means that every time he died to the spider, he had to drink an entire object more, basically. Like an entire can of beer in this case. And that also meant that he would die and not have a quick save right outside the spider and then go to the very beginning multiple times. So he died and he got like, oh motherfucker, brr. And then he like realized, oh my god, I'm at the beginning of the dungeon. And then he like, oh my god, I just leveled up. So within like 10 minutes, he suddenly had to drink, I think, 2 full cans of beer, I believe. And then he was like, fuck this, because we had made like a contingency plan rule where we said, okay, if you feel that it's getting out of hand, you can basically tap out and go and play Guitar Hero, which we also had hooked up in the living room. And all you have to do is add 1 more drink to your tab, like an entire object worth of drink. But you know, you don't have to adhere to the drinking rules until you return to the game. So Peak basically went over and played Guitar Hero, free drinks in hand, free beers in hand, because he was maybe a little bit frustrated. There was also a point where one of my other friends got in, like, he'd been talking with the guy next to him, and I don't remember how they got about to this, but all of a sudden he decided that doing push-ups should be the thing to do. So he just dropped down, and I think it's because they were arguing how to do push-ups properly and stuff. Just like drinking Jim Beam when playing War Thunder. Alright. Well, if it's in the right mood, then I don't see why not. I don't really drink alcohol that much. Like, actually, not really ever. I usually only drink it at social gatherings and such. But let's just go through some of the rules, because at first they don't look so bad. You know, okay, a dragon fight, you take 2 sips basically. Every time you shout, you take 1 sip of your drink, and 1 drink, like, or object is like 10 sips, is how we measure it at least. So dying is half a beer, right? But then you get down. So first of all, no one wanted to fast travel because that meant that you had to drink more, which was actually surprising to me, because normally, like in the beginning, people actually did stuff on purpose just to get started drinking, and then quickly realized that that was a bad idea, because they were getting thirsty. But like finding a new location is also like 1 drink, right? But then there's the level up skill, and we didn't think too much about this being super bad, because it's a little bit specific, right? It says divide skill level by 10 and round up. So that means anytime you level up from 0 to 10, you drink 1 drink. The issue is, by the end of the evening, my archery was like level 30 something. So every time I leveled up my archery, which happened every like 5 minutes, I had to drink 3 drinks if I were to be realistic about like following these rules. So we quickly made it a thing where we just like, okay, you drink as much as you feel like you're capable of, because once you get into like actually exploring stuff, you can level up skills very quickly, like both leveling up sneaking and archery at the same time. Yeah, that becomes a lot of booze within a very short time span. And then you suddenly level up, and then you're like, fuck, I can't keep up with this. No one did any crimes though, and no one got around to learning shouts, I don't think. I was the only one to make it to the point where dragon started spawning in, I think. But that's also because I was drinking in moderation. Everyone else had like tapped out or like just couldn't play anymore, basically, because they were too drunk to make proper decisions at that point. And then the day after, where everyone was like just super groggy and slightly hungover and stuff. Oh man, that was an interesting day, because we had the recording, of course. So what better way to like spend the morning and like recover than to listen back onto the recording of what was happening in the background, because some people had gotten so drunk that they couldn't even remember much of what had happened the last night. And we also found like puke in some random places outside, and no one remembers that. So, but in terms of like actually like the inside, it wasn't like trashed or anything. Everyone was like super considerate and stuff. And it was also like my mom was home, so it's not like it went super wild in that regard. It's not like we trashed the place. We were just drinking and having a good time and just laughing it off because stupid shit happened all the time. So yeah, that's a bit of the story of a Skyrim drinking game shenanigans. It was it's something that I'll probably never forget, and was a lot of fun to do. We actually did talk about it a few years back, whether or not we should try and do something similar again, but gathering people these days is like super difficult. We've been at a few LAN parties whilst I was at university, but it's just been getting more and more difficult because transporting electronic hardware like that, and then no one has the like can afford to have a car or might not even have a driver's license, so everyone's like super isolated because they are not mobile that way. But who knows, maybe someday in the future, maybe when I grow old enough to go on like a retirement home, Pig and I and others will like try and get to the same place and just just have, I don't know, old folks home LAN parties at that point. Who knows? That's at least my growing old plans. I don't know about you. Sounds like a good plan, good plan and a good time to me. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that little story. I actually don't know what Jim Beam is, by the way. Is that beer? I assume it's beer. I think I've heard the name before as well. It's whiskey. Wait, what? Okay. That's surprising. Would you look at that? For some reason I thought it would be beer. Okay. I don't think I've ever had that. Does it improve your aim? Because we at least used to have that. Saying like aiming water as like a rough translation, which is aka beer. For those that drank it a lot during these LAN parties. Made Toto break. Oh, I'm sure. It made you very like being slightly tipsy makes you very unconstrained. A dangerous person, to be sure. Okay, maybe I should get some of this stuff done. Then again, talking about stories is always nice. I enjoy it. Pixel light. Yeah. But yeah, I've never ever like I don't really like going out drinking. Just like the bars and nightclubs just aren't really my thing. I've been to like when I was studying, we did occasionally go to like a bar which always like the same place basically, but it was more to socialize and hang out and talk with each other than, you know, to get blackout drunk. So getting like one cider or two maybe at most. Then again, that's like half a liter of cider per glass per pint. So, but it was enjoyable. Not fan of people, yeah, and that's why it was usually on a Thursday when we went to this bar, which meant no people around. It was almost always just us and the bartender, and because it was a Thursday, drinks were like 50% off or something like that too. So really good when you're a student and can't afford drinks. And we also hung out with the bartender because it was almost always the same guy, and he was like a pretty cool dude as well. So yeah, it was just like a social thing we did pretty much. And since we didn't have the same study lines after high school and moving out and such, it was like a good way to catch up and just, you know, be friends together. Hey, Selfire. Good to see you here. Today's a little bit slow. I haven't really managed to do much. It's probably also because my brain is still like half asleep, I don't know. So I have no idea how much I'll manage to accomplish today. But we'll see. So did Bluekey completely demolish the Higashi building? Because it looks like it. So the ones covered for bartender on a bachelorette party. Okay. That sounds like an interesting story. After it got yoinked? Eh? Oh, so the bartender got yoinked? Is that what you mean? All right. Spicy. He came along after you were half done? Oh. Why did you pull that building down? Just to see if you could? And Toto took over the bar. Oh, God. I wonder what that was like. Sounds like a pretty good time. Mix the drinks for friends. How did that work out? Like, did you just give everyone free drinks because you were in the bar all of a sudden? Just to watch it fall? You guys are fucking destructive. I hope you've considered resetting it so we're not completely fucked on the next Horde night. Or at least have like a plan B. But glad to hear the server didn't collapse on itself at least. Did a town hall? Wait, what? Oh, so you did Horde Night at the town hall. Pope fell off the roof. It's a fun Horde Night. Well, if you had fun, that's all that matters. Yeah, I probably should. The thing is, for as good as my memory on some things, I just can't remember your build, Toto. I can't remember how it was built. I remember it involved like slanted pieces and stuff, but other than that, not too much else. Wow. Well, as long as you guys had fun doing it, then that's all that matters. Oh, you're gonna give it another try? Yeah, I was wondering if maybe a reinstall could fix it. Because you'd installed it with the installer downloader thing, right? My biggest worry is that something I would actually like if you could, if you do end up getting another BSOD, Toto, could you write down the error code that it gives you? Because BSODs are kind of usually a serious ordeal. And if it says something like pfn list corrupt or something like that, or mentions something about memory, that might be a bad sign. And I'm just curious what your BSOD message says. So just like write it down on paper if you wouldn't send it to me if you see one. Because I had one like, oh my god, is that about a year ago now? Almost. And that turned out to be one of my memory sticks that was faulty. Like it's currently outside of my computer, like just sitting over there. And I've tried putting it back in, and then whenever I do, it basically like randomly I'll just get a BSOD if too much of my memory gets used, because then it tries to allocate something into memory on that stick which is faulty into somewhere where it's, yeah. It said something about memory. Might be a bad thing then. Because it could be a similar case with me where under normal circumstances you don't use too much of all your memory on your system. But then it's like if there's like one small little part of your memory stick that's faulty and your computer tries to allocate something to it and it can't read it back properly, that would be able to produce a BSOD basically to sort of like avoid data corruption and stuff like that. And that's exactly what happened to me, where I could play like a game for hours on end, but because I had like 32 gigs of RAM, because they were both two 16 gig RAM blocks, only when that particular part of the memory stick was being utilized would it do a BSOD. So it would be like highly inconsistent. So some days it was like like if I try to use a lot of my memory, like say working in Chrome and having like 7 different tools open at the same time, then I could trigger it maybe within 10 minutes. But then playing a game, I could maybe play it for like 5 hours straight without any issues. And it all depends on how lucky/unlucky you are. And since 7 days is a pretty memory intensive game, that could be a thing. But then I would be surprised why you wouldn't have encountered it in something like Project Zomboid or other highly memory intensive games. But that's just my current train of thought, at least. So I'm just curious to what the BSOD message says. But yeah, what are you up to today, Selfire? I assume you're either going to be playing Osiris or Empyrean, Toto. I did see you opened up Osiris at least. These should probably be drop-down menus. Yes. Let's do 2 drop-downs. One is shadow quality and the other is resolution. Actually shopping for DDR3 RAM. DDR3 RAM, isn't that like super expensive? Because it's so old now. Wouldn't you? I know it's a lot more expensive in the like in the long term it will be cheaper and you'll be getting a better result, but when it would take probably be better to save up for like a better a newer motherboard that supports newer RAM. Because I remember back in the day when I refused to swap from DDR2 to DDR3 because of it requiring like a new CPU and requiring a new motherboard and stuff. But the memory sticks back then was actually so expensive that I ended up having to swapping motherboard because it was like a few thousand Danish crowns more maybe, which wasn't even like 25% like more that I had to spend. And I would have like better memory sticks, better motherboard, better CPU at the same time. So it might be worth looking into. Do you have like a budget for upgrading your PC, or is it just for memory sticks so that you can have like more memory? Because memory sticks are a bit of an iffy case. I could guide you through it. It's not that hard. I've done it myself multiple times and I've learned from my mistakes. The only thing you can really fuck up is how should we say, like, it depends on your case, of course, how easy it is to navigate in there. But the only thing you can really fuck up is to forget to realign the distance screws on the back plate, because that's what I did on my first motherboard. There's basically like these distance screws that lifts the motherboard off from the back panel to avoid short circuiting. And I basically mounted it straight onto the back plate back in the day because I didn't realize that you had to move those screws around. So it shouldn't be super difficult. Personally, I feel like the most tricky part is mounting a new CPU. But then again, like, it's nothing too difficult. You just need a few pointers, really, and you should be able to do it just easily yourself if you want to. It all depends, though. But we can talk about it sometime when I have the time for it if you want. I'd be glad to help you out at least. But to give it a bit of perspective, I learned to put my own computer back or together as like a before was I a teen? I can't even remember. I must have been like a young teenager back then, and I basically had little to no help on how to put it together. So I mean, if 12-year-old me or whatever I was, actually it must have been like over 14. Okay, so maybe like mid-teens. 14, 15. So if 15-year-old me can figure out how to put a computer together, then I'm sure that I could teach you. And especially these days, it's not gotten any harder, it's only gotten easier. You're in the age of not liking sweets anymore? Oh. Well, you can give them all to me. I don't really eat a lot of sweets, to be honest, but it's more of like a, if I'm offered some, I'll definitely most likely not turn it down. Unless it's like early in the morning or something like that. But if it's with the fitting time of day or like occasion, then sure. Sweets. But why are you mentioning that then, all of a sudden? Okay, okay. I did not expect it to go in that direction. Who turns down sweets from a person in a van anyway? And it's got to be the white one with dark toned windows. Am I right? Damn it, Toto. Freaking hell. It says free candy on the side. Oh my god. Hmm. I wonder if I could reorganize the order of these settings. We'll mess around with that once I have it working. Because I don't like how it goes from... I don't know if it should go from low to very high, or if it should go from high to very low. Maybe I'll take some references to other games and see how they do it. Question is, do we have everything we need? Maybe. Oh, I forgot to change the titles on these. That would probably be a negatory. Cement is really expensive in Undead Legacy, Toto. Like, you need a lot of rocks done in 5 minutes. I mean, with the drills that we have now, we can probably mine out a lot of cement materials within minutes, yes. But you need to like crush it down into stone powder and all that stuff, and that just takes a while. And then crafting it into concrete bricks or blocks is also pretty time consuming. Well, there was a couple of things that we definitely need to fix. One is here. Try and change that to 10. And then we have this pixel light count slider here. I don't know how high it should go. Try and set it to 200. Want that to be whole numbers as well. And boopy doopy doop boop 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 doop. Let me just quickly delete those option settings that it generated, because I gotta make sure that I understand what it's defaulting to. Might even have to look up pixel light limit to see if it's like got a -1 value, which is basically infinite, because then we got to do a similar thing to something we did elsewhere, where if you set it to a certain thing, then it becomes like a -1 basically. Because here it says 0. Texture quality is high. That should be the default for that. I forgot to change the titles on these. So disable and lower the defaults. Okay. Assuming that it's working correctly, of course. Shadow quality. The other one is shadow, what again? Shadow resolution. Well, I guess we'll just quickly take a look at project settings. Quality. Oh yeah, because it's set to the fastest right now. That's why. That's why shadow resolution is low. And that's also, oh, okay, that's why pixel light count is 0. Try and change that to fantastic. Here anisotropic textures are actually forced on. Maybe I do need to have that as an option then. That would require going back and changing it to a drop down, because right now it's a toggle. Unless I make the other option the forced on instead of the on. Well, let's try and generate those default configs again. Shadow quality disabled. Okay, that's 60 as it should be. Texture quality is now ultra. I should probably also use the version I have, which does not have a slider, because there's only 4 options for every single one of these. Yeah, so it's like if this drop down does not fit on screen downwards, it puts it on top up top instead. It also seems like the UI elements are actually on top of this. I can fix that though. Not now, but... Let's see if some of these settings actually... like if they actually work. Oh. Index array out of bounds. Okay, well that means there might be some things in settings manager that we have to fix first. Here, let's see. Index 2 shadows set. That's high. Why is it saying index? Oh, cannot convert from Unity Engine shadow resolution to Unity Engine shadow quality. Wait, what? Oh, no, I took the wrong thing. Hello there, Booga. Booga. Welcome to... Hey, this is what we need. Turkish. Alright. I have a feeling it's just in here that we got some out of bounds. Let's try and just restart the game, I suppose. Oh, okay. Well, welcome to Twitch. I see, I see. I remember. Today's a bit of a slow day. Had trouble sleeping and I didn't get a lot of good sleep, so apologies if I'm not necessarily super on point today. We did still get one error. Only 5 minutes to install it, 7 days. Zero, 1, 2, 3. Index was outside the bounds of the array. What? What do you mean it's outside the bounds of the array? Oh no. That's a strange one. Yeah, it's not happy about this. Value here is still 0. Oh, okay, that value works just fine, but eh. For some reason it's bugging out with the why is it complaining? I don't understand. Is it because master texture limits? Here. This is a weird one. So this is an integer, yes. Supposed to be an integer. And it just starts out setting it as 0, which is the ultra high setting. Yeah. But it says index out of range exception. Index was outside the bounds of the array. Why is that? Could it? There's one. Oh, I see what it is. It's because of what we did yesterday with the arguments here. That should fix it. Yes. Okay. Cool. It's because it was like triggering the custom event here, but it had like 2 arguments on this because I copied it across. from somewhere where we needed to use the second argument, but you don't have a second argument for a drop-down menu, so that's why I was complaining. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, let's pull this out. Oh, and let's swap over to the lighting tab just so I can get a bit more stable frames. Let's actually disable depth of field for now. I don't know about this setting. Doesn't seem to do anything necessarily. You can definitely see the shadow resolution working. That's nice. Okay, computer, calm down. Stop making like weird... I am now using my GPU, so I heat up my metal sounds. Let's take a look around here. Should be a good spot to test. So you can see how the shadows here become way more crisp when we set the resolution up to higher. So that settings works. Shadow distance doesn't seem to do anything either. At least as far as I can tell. Let's see, do I even have pixel lights in this setting? Yes, I do. You could actually see the game bugging out in the background. So these would be pixel lights, for instance. I think the cursor is technically also a pixel light, actually. Or maybe it's not. No, wait, it definitely... Oh goodness. That's like a really squared shadow on that one. What the bug? Yeah, so now you can see that this is now a pixel light, creating all these real-time shadows in these bushes and stuff. And the light source from this lantern is probably one too, and I believe all these quest markers, they also have a pixel light. Cool. So essentially, if you want to save on lighting, you can turn this way down. You can see it in the background that like the things they light up and don't. The normal for this is just 60, but yeah. Wonder if this works. I wouldn't assume that this makes any difference because I haven't set up any map settings for any of the textures, so the texture quality is going to be impossible to test for the time being. I do think it should go from low to high though. That means I need to do some interpolation on this, which would be a pain in the ass, but I can do it. Oh wait, no, that doesn't matter. I can just, yeah, I just need to swap the no, wait, that is, oh, that is actually, no, that is a problem. Because 0 is no texture like downscaling. 1 is half texture resolution. 2 is a quarter texture resolution, and so forth. And that's because the index of the drop-down list corresponds with the number that's being sent. So how would I even go about doing that? I suppose there is maybe one way I can think of at the top of my head. So master texture limits. So list master, is this a thing? No. But what if we do a list literal? Oh, right. I have to say list int literal. This might work. So we basically use the same logic as with these others out there. Let's just see. Yeah, so this would basically be like an interpolation, right? So if I want to, I can inverse the order of this. So what we store, like we use the slider to define a value from 0 to 3, and then those are the 4 options you have. And then that is the index that we use to select from this list. But then the list can contain any order of numbers in theory that then gets sent off and actually applied. So I can inverse the order that way, so that index 0 is a value of 3, which would be the lowest resolution texture basically, and then 0, which would be an index you know, of 3, would be the highest. Ooh, okay. That's something. Here's to hoping that you can actually also play. Okay, I think this should work. Then that just means we need to do a get item from that list using the index that we send along. And then that is actually what we apply. Hope I set this up correctly. Here, the texture quality drop down. So we should be able to move these around now, with ultra being at the bottom or very high. Because that's the naming convention they use for the other settings, so might as well use it here too. Let's see if this works. That's actually an interesting way to do this. I don't think I would have thought about this if I hadn't messed with the other lists, or had to mess around with the other lists and how they work. But maybe I can use this to great effect in some of my other implementations actually, without having to do a lot of specific edge case coding onto the sliders and such, and then maybe just like interpolate the data that way. And then I can have a slider that goes from 0 to whatever, and then have the actual values that are supposed to be represented set up in a different way. Let's see. Settings Managa. Lock this. And let's see. Zero. I. Okay, so it seems to be working. So index free, and then it pulls index free, which is the integer 0. And then it also stores that down. So now it's stored free into the saved file. So let's just assume we load number free, and then it should pull 0 out and then plug it in here. Let's see if it actually shows the right thing. I mean, it shows the right thing in here, but it loaded 2 instead of 3. Yeah. I'll take a look at that in a moment, Toto. Save down free. Because I need to make sure that when it loads here, it loads the right index. So if it doesn't say free here in a moment, then that means it doesn't load the right thing. These just work? Why is it 2? Oh wait, this is shadow resolution. Hold on. Oh shit. Oh, that's why it worked. I know why. It's because I copied this and I forgot to change the string used. Now it should load the right thing. So let me check this. Yawn. Hey, it says free, so this is doing what it's supposed to at least. Oh wow, that is really dark. So this is Toto Vision, huh? Is it like just really dark or is it missing textures? Because it's a bit hard to tell. I think though that's like a road out there. Is that true? Oh my goodness. 7 days normally isn't that dark, is it? Also, welcome to day 172, I guess. Like you can barely see the horizon there. Well, I guess if it's foggy and if it's nighttime, then it might look like this. But at least you're in, I suppose. It's just dark. Okay. Well, I've got some pretty weird screenshots from when I played Skyrim the first time, which actually had like a couple instances where the half the world actually was missing textures. Yawning is contagious. Just verified by you. Yeah, sorry. I am a little bit tired today. So I apologize. I try and not to, but sometimes it slips. Okay, so I think I have to check some of the project settings or quality settings here. Let's see. Anti-aliasing disabled. We're in fantastic, so texture quality is full res. Oh, okay. It actually only goes like 4 options here. No 7 days after stream? I mean, I'm not just gonna go to bed after stream. I'll probably play 7 days. Though not on stream most likely. At least I haven't done so far, because after stream I usually get food. Hard and soft shadows. That's what it's set to here, so that's index 2. Shadow distance is 150. But why was it set to 1.5 then? Maybe it's not implemented properly yet. Let's see what happens if we press play. Yeah, Selfire is on right now, so he should be able to help you out at least. Oh, you're not on. No, never mind. I mean, you're on, generally speaking. I just assumed you were also in 7 days right now. Sorry. My bad. So this would be all. Then when we go in here, it's not all. Did I not hook this up correctly? Shadow quality. Shadow quality. Only been playing for the last 12 hours. Yeah. Alright. Wait, when did you play with Blue Key? Was it his early morning or something? Big yawning to piss off your friends, and it was contagious, and it was a big loop. Yeah, well, I'm still trying to be considerate, right? So I mean, so Blue Key is in the same time zone as me because he's also Danish. So when I went to bed, it was like 2:30 a.m. and he'd already gone to bed like 2.5 hours earlier because he had to get up early. So if he was on earlier, it would have been his morning, I suppose. See, you also don't have to apologize, Boga. At least I take that as apologies for being like a certain nationality. Yeah, exactly. You must have come on at like 9 a.m. or something. Also, I just remember this is like super loud for you guys. There we go. I mean, it gets the thing here. And then we go through... It doesn't run this, apparently. Oh. Oh. I know why. It's because it's called the wrong thing. Remember to go to play mode though. Yeah, 6 hours in front. Started saving for a helicopter. Alright. I really hope it's gonna be worth it. I was talking with Blue Key that we could install like a helipad on the very top of the building, maybe. And since I've already gone around clearing out every single plateau that we have, it should be fairly straightforward. But would probably be idea to like extend a circular platform out with like a ladder going up or something. And then have like a deposit box under like somewhere accessible in the floor or something. Yeah, of course. But knowing you at this point, I have a suspicion it's gonna go much faster than than you think. Because I won't be home for 2 days in the weekend, so by the time I'm back, you might already have like 500,000 something at least. Who knows? But yeah, that explains why this wasn't working. Or rather not doing anything. It wasn't hooked up with the right event name. Aha. Well, thanks, Boga. I'm pretty happy as it is, actually. I don't mind not being popular either. I'm actually quite content. I do wish my games would be successful though. But that's just so that I can, that's mainly like so that I can make a living off of what I like doing. Let's see if this works. Hey, it actually works. Nice. A bit of graphical glitches the first time around it switches, but yeah, you can actually like see it's a bit, you can see, probably see that it's like very jagged now because it's hard shadows only, which are faster to compute than soft shadows. Of course, we can completely outright disable them altogether. Nice. So if we set shadow resolution to low and we say hard shadows only, now they should be really jagged. Like you can very clearly see the individual pixels now because of the resolution being so low. Awesome. I love it when things are easy to implement. Then there is the shadow distance. I wonder if this is also not hooked up right. Because I'm pretty sure that 1.5 is the default value. And it should be like 150. So let's see. Lighter. Oh, I haven't even, okay, it's probably not hooked up right then. Yeah, it's not. All right. Shadow distance. And this has to be a lot higher than this, apparently. I can set it to 300, but the thing is, like, the levels aren't even that big. Because it's if I remember correctly, this is measured in Unity units. And to give you a sense of perspective, well, actually, to give you a sense of perspective, I guess, one of my trees is about a 1x1 unit footprint if you take like at its widest. So considering that each level is about like 50 something units wide, so even if you're standing in the corner somewhere, it's like barely like 70 units diagonally across or something, I would imagine. I can't remember how big the levels actually are. Well, let's just see. Because if we get to this vantage point here, and did it actually... Oh right, I haven't opened the menu yet. Okay, so it did set the shadow distance correctly now. Good. Yeah, okay, so this works. So setting it to like any higher than 150 is overkill by the look of things. Very tall cup of cheesecake drink? What is a very tall cup of cheesecake drink, Toto? now you have shadows that pop in. That's good. I mean, it doesn't look nice, but for people with lower end computers, that's probably a good thing. So you can have shadows, but, you know, maybe not render them out in the complete distance of the level might be nice. Probably more so important for like really large levels or when you're zoomed out really far. Gotta love that screen resolution dependent depth of field. It's a little bit annoying that it's screen resolution based, but that's what the settings are for. So I should probably allow you to set this much higher, like to 4 or something. Because if you have a 4K resolution, I imagine this might not be enough. But that's like easy to do. And for people that really don't like it or it's in the way, you can just disable it, I guess. And we also have all the other settings like the focal length. So if you set the focal length lower, then it should mean that it's like mostly just going to be out of focus further out. Can't even remember. Oh wait, no, that should be the focus distance. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've messed around with camera focus settings, because that's basically what this is. Equivalent to real life camera focus settings. I wonder if using camera FOV is something that then accounts for screen resolution, and I should just do that. Don't know. I'll have to mess around with that in the future, I think. This is cool. This should also mean that if I only set it to like 150 max, because levels are going to be like are actually situated on top of each other, it at least means that the camera won't even try to render shadows out that far. It won't even have to consider it for shadow computation, I suppose. Put it on Discord. Toto, you're sitting in absolute darkness. Okay. Is it good? Cheesecake. I'm trying to think if I've ever had cheesecake. I think I might have tried it once, but I don't remember, so. Is that why you were saying like, oh, you don't really do sweets? Because isn't that like, if it's cake, it's sweet, right? Tastes like Japanese weirdness. The best kind of weirdness. Or at least a decent kind of weirdness. Let's set this max value to 150. Because as it is, I have no plans on making levels that are larger than this. Due to how the game is structured. I think it is... I can't remember if I made the framework for it to be possible. Yeah, I think it is possible, maybe. There might be like some framework for it. But I remember making like a test level that was a lot larger, like 4 times the size of this, and it was super laggy. So So I'd rather focus on making like smaller condensed levels, because it also means that I can put more focus on making each level unique in its setting without requiring like multiple unique features for everyone, if that makes sense. So the sandbox doesn't get so big that I run out of ideas for each level before I'm even halfway done with it. Make big tree. Come on, Sapphire. I think still I want to do that level with that tree idea, like an entire level that's just a giant tree at some point. Because I think that could be a lot of fun. But that is for future stuff. Speaking of future stuff, we're kind of done with the general graphic settings for now, because we have everything in there that we need. Oh, let me it was focus distance lighter, and that one is currently set to max value of 2. Let's just set it to 8 for the crazy people that might have multiple displays. And then they can have fun trying to get that to work the way they want it to. Alright. Anything else? Oh. Yes, I know what we need to set up. And how did that work again? Here we should have a button container that says yes. And let's lock this UI just for convenience sake. Because we need to add all these options to the reset feature that I have. And that is a little bit tricky. Because if I make mistakes, then it won't reset everything. Not even a month in here already, getting paid orders named to Toto from Anonymous. What? Did you already move, Toto? Or how is that? Because you said you couldn't get that house because it was already taken, right? Stream video stopping, that's why you're thinking your internet dies. It might be. Okay, so an aunt's place still. Okay. So you're just getting random gifts from people? Okay. I've only had like a weird experience. Like that's a really weird experience to me. Very much something I've not really ever tried. Over here, the closest I've ever gotten was when I was living with one of my friends a few years back. And then, I can't even remember, it was like several months after we moved in. Then just suddenly, randomly one day, a lady rings on our, like, knocks on our door and says hi. And then and I didn't open the door, that was my friend, because, yeah, reasons. And she handed him a plant, a potted plant, as like a welcome gift, I suppose. And she said something along the lines like, that's just how we do it around here. We just welcome people with like a small welcome gift. And I'm like, okay, so that's what she wanted. Interesting. It was a little bit weird. And then to put it in perspective, I've lived here for almost 4 years or something now, and only occasionally do I see the other tenants in this apartment building when I leave or get back home. So but hey, can't say no to free. Oh, that's cute. What actually happened to it? Trying to remember. Because neither of us was really good at keeping plants. And I had never done so before, and I'm pretty sure my roommate didn't either. So I'm pretty sure it didn't survive for too long. I really don't know. And I don't actually even remember where he put the plant in the first place, so he might have put it in the kitchen and tried to keep it alive. I don't know. It's like so many years ago, actually. I mean, I could probably ask him, maybe he would remember, but that's maybe even a stretch, so. Yeah, let's get this right the first time around.
We got your favorite thing, disappointment.
Yes. I mean, I would much rather have like a box of sweets or anything like that. Let's see, shadow drop down, resolution drop down, distance slider. Looks about right. And while I'm at it, I guess we might as well do the one for video settings, I think it is. Oh, right, this is locked. Yes, because this one is not set up whatsoever. Video. And let's keep the anisotropic built-in a toggle for now. I can always go back to that later. Strawberry jam in the bottom. All right. Putting jam in a drink. Isn't that not like normally jam is like has a lot of substance to it. I don't know if drinking jam sounds super pleasant. It would have to be like really, I guess, light, flowy jam. Japanese weirdness. All right. Let's just write it off as Japanese weirdness. That sounds about okay to me. Definitely makes things easier. It's like saying it is what it is. Think it looks good? I mean, by the sound of it, it's basically someone was thinking, how can we make, like, we really like strawberry cheesecake or whatever it's called. How can we make that portable so that you can have it on the go? Oh, I know. Let's put it in like a cup in layers and then put a straw in it. Yeah. This is like literally diabetes in a cup, isn't it? But that should also be the video option settings added. Well, I guess we might as well test it. Make sure that everything works. So, do I need to take a screen cap of this so I can remember what they were? Well, actually, no, I don't. I just need to change them to something that they're not set to. I guess not the default setting, I mean. Don't need to touch the field. So. Yep, that looks about right. Yes. Oh, we need to fix anti-aliasing still, I see. There's some stuff that's weird on that one. Why are you saying uno? Turkish foods are really good, but expensive. I think in general food is becoming more and more expensive these days. At least in Denmark, I know it's becoming more and more expensive, and the same for the US. So I think it's a global trend, unfortunately. The fact that we have wars going on, or at least that one war so far, or well, the war. Since we have that war between Russia and Ukraine going on right now, it's gonna make grain a lot more expensive. Because there's gonna be a shortage of, what was it? I can't remember if it's specifically wheat that they're a massive exporter of. That also means that for some countries, cost goes up because for other products like meat as well, because, well, in some countries, you know, feeding cattle with grain is common practice. So if they're not feeding them like hay and stuff that is locally produced, then yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's not just the food either, because there's also things that we get from Russia. Yeah. The bigger issue is going to be not the prices in the long term though, but the supply of things, and like volume wise is my worry. Yeah. Yeah, because it affects a lot of things. So it's definitely going to be difficult. Then again, prices have been also increasing gradually over the last couple of years, regardless of the war. And I was actually like crazy to notice, like, the like I've been mainly paying attention to the it's weird, but it's a Monster Energy drink prices. Because they used to be 10 Danish crowns a can, and now they're 15.6 or something. So within like 1 to 2 years, those energy drinks specifically have had a 50% price increase, which is crazy. Oh lol, Toto. Is it midnight there? Well, I guess due to the darkness, I guess it would be, unless you had like really efficient blinds. Russian chocolate taste is bad for Turkish chocolate. Yeah, I don't know about all the kinds of chocolate that exist. I've had Belgian chocolate, which is pretty good. But even then, like, just slapping like a nationality on something doesn't necessarily mean that it's always made the same way. Like, just look at mac and cheese is supposed to be made with what's the name of it? Cheddar, right? And cheddar is supposed to come from a specific region in England, if I remember correctly, in the UK. So that means if you're not using cheddar to make mac and cheese, it's technically not done correctly, as far as I understood it when I looked it up. So, but what you're saying, Toto, is you hope you don't have like some random creep who has the hots for you. Some neighbor otaku. Or however you pronounce that. Oh, right, that's not in here. Video settings. Full screen mode, target frame rate, anti-aliasing. Here we go. Otherwise, Toto will demand more and ask to throw in groceries too. Okay. Let me see, is this like a... Is this like a default settings kind of situation we're dealing with here? Okay, it seems to be. Okay, well that at least narrows down what we have to look at. So all we don't really have to look at anything but initialization. And then just pay attention to what is going on in the background. Give me a moment, I'll take a look at it. Anti-aliasing. That's also weird because it should be 8 by default. But then it gets through here and it's 1 for some reason. That's not right. Video. Oh god, this is gonna take a second. So it loads the float, and for some reason it's 0. Okay. So that means... Oh, that's why. We need to do that mumbo jumbo stupid ass conversion here. And then it should work. Because we're storing it as an integer and then trying to load it as a float, and then it becomes 0 because, yeah, that's just how it's hooked up. So if we delete that now, when we start, it should say 8. Hopefully. Oh. Pretty please. That was unexpected. It says 256. What? What? Oh. Oh, I think I know why. Okay. That is... Wait. So it's because we load 8. That is the value. Oh, my brain hurts now. Because that's... right, that's because it's the slider value that we need to get in here. And not the... It's because we're not storing the slider value. It's because we're storing the setting value. Oh, that is... Oh, good. How do we deal with this? Is it because I'm just taking anti-aliasing here and turning it into an integer and then we're storing that? But we need to interpolate this backwards in this case, so that it becomes free, basically. PC Killer mod. Out of memory exception, yeah. I see. So, Toto, when you're getting new memory sticks? I mean, you're also watching a stream while trying to play 7 days. And that probably isn't good for your memory either. Oh my god, I'm so bad at math. How do I do the inverse of a power off? Watch on phone then. I mean, it might only give you slightly more. It might not be enough still. I don't know. Returns the next power of 2 that is equal to or greater than the argument. Huh. Dude, my math concepts are so bad right now. The logarithm is the opposite of a power. In other words, if we take a logarithm of a number, we undo an exponentiation. Okay. So... math. And it's in English, which also doesn't make it easier. Two to the power 3 is equal, therefore 3 is the logarithm of 8 to base 2. Or 3 equals log 2 to the power of 8. Okay. That's under math though. Turns the logarithm of a specific number in a specified base. Okay. So 3 is the logarithm of 8 to base 2. Eight to the base 2, so that is the output number. So 8 to the base b in this case. And I think it's to the power of 2. What do we get? And let's also do like a input. Nah, what's it called again? Events. Inputs. On keyboard inputs. Let's do a debug log. So that we can actually test this stuff. Oh, right. I forgot. We're still in play mode, so this gives me free. Does that make sense? Int literal. Negative infinity. Uh-oh. So 1 is 0. Oh, right, because it's not. Yeah, so it's 8 and then it's 4. The 4 is 2, and then 2 would be 1, as it should be, but then 0 is negative infinity. I mean, we can work with this. Then we would plug in the value here. And then we would need to do a evaluation. So if this value is equal to 0, and then we do a bump, 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 bump. I guess we could do a branch. That would work. So we go through here. Just move these things around. So if it's true and if it's false. So if it is 0, then it should just save the value 0 and continue onwards. Actually, I don't even think. Oh, no, we need to go down there. Same identifier. Make sure to set that up. Otherwise, we want to do this logarithm operation in this case. And here it's fine for me to hard code those values in. Because although for the UI elements, I set it up so that it's very flexible here, because I have to make specified, like specific edge case coding anyway, it's fine that it's hard-coded values. Because the anti-aliasing only goes, you know, to a certain range after all, and not only that, but it also works in a very specific way. So in my opinion, it's okay to hard code those values in, because anything else than that is kind of overkill. But this should make it so that we get the anti-aliasing setting and do the conversion into the slider value that it should be set to. And then when the slider value changes, it does the processing of what the display number should actually be, and then send it off, and then actually setting the setting properly. Yes. A bit convoluted, but it might work. I really hope it does. There's still this though. Oh wait, that's because I think it's because I didn't delete those. So we're still using the old save that it had generated with that 256. And again, this is only a problem when you're booting up the game for the very first time. Well, it sets it to 0 now. Oh, oops. I was still using that literal int as an input, so just default it back to 0. Interestingly enough though, if you save negative infinity, it turns out to be just 0 in this case, which is a bit strange. That might just be because you're trying to save it down and it doesn't know how to load it. Hey, it works. It says 8 now. Cool. That's one more bug out of the way, and another setting potentially working just as intended. Trying to think of what else there is. And it stays at 2. I wonder if max FPS... No, wait, that is set to unlimited by default because of VSync, I think. So it's like restricted to VSync, and that's fine as a default. Well, we've kind of implemented most of the settings that I need, actually. We're getting very close now to being potentially even done with this whole menu. Or like a start. There are some things we need to implement in graphics still, like in post-processing. We need bloom, and I don't remember if I'm also doing screen-based ambient occlusion, but those settings should be fairly straightforward, I would imagine, because at least when we did depth of field after implementing the UI like templates, that was fairly easy to implement. There's also some visual elements that I would like to look at some point, like these menus that only have 4 options don't need to be a scroll. And I already did a little test on that here with the Windows options. So I just really want to do and need to set it up in the same way. And there's a lot of places where there's actually only 4 options, so I could potentially just steal this particular drop-down menu and just replace the values with the right ones in the right place, and then it should just work, and I won't have to mess around with the UI visuals or anything. Cool. I am very happy, very happy to be this far along. There's still some odd quirks here and there, like how to navigate the menus. Like for instance, scroll wheel allows you to move the camera in the game, so if you're in a level, it zooms in and out when you scroll up and down with the wheel. But that's like something that can be worked on. And it's not imperative right now. So yeah. That simply just works. A bit of a short day today because I got started pretty late. But it's actually around that time when we have to stop for the day. Let's see. Oh, interesting. Oh wait, no, this is something else. I don't know what Argron is playing. He's playing something called Neoverse. Oh wait, is it the game that I think it is? Oh yeah, it is the game. I saw Peak play this actually a couple days ago. He's been playing it a little bit. Maybe we can go and take a look at it. It's a little bit like Inscription in gameplay. It's card based and it's a roguelike. I guess you would say. So why don't we go over to Argron and say hi and thank him for the raid the other day. Anyways, that's it for me today. Again, won't be streaming in the weekend sadly because I won't be home. But look forward to more game development next week, and then of course, as it stands, I have no plans next weekend, so gameplay is on the menu for streaming. That being said, I'll probably be playing some, like I might be playing something off stream Sunday and Monday because those are my days off. So if you want to just hang out in Discord, that is an open invitation. And otherwise, I'll see you all when I see you. So stick around for the raid and I will see you all on the next one. Have a good one and bye for now.